Have you ever wondered why right now you're going through such a difficult time? Why the sadness seems heavier, the heart more weary, and the silence louder than ever? Perhaps you're in the valley, living through days when emotions are heavy. Your body feels the weight of pain and tears well up when no one is looking. If you're in the valley, this video is for you. There are pains that make no sound but consume you from within. Sadness, emotional exhaustion, sleepless nights, and that feeling of carrying something too heavy alone. Have you ever experienced this? Many people try to ignore these emotions, but the body feels it, the soul feels it, and the silent crying ends up becoming a plea for relief. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. Perhaps you're wondering what the meaning of so much pain is, why faith seems more difficult precisely in moments of suffering, and if there really is a purpose in the valley you're living through. What few people talk about is that often it's in this place of fragility that something profound begins to happen. The tears that fall in silence can carry more strength than you imagine, and the valley may be hiding something that isn't yet clear, but that is part of your process. Perhaps as you listen to these words, something inside you is recognizing itself. Perhaps this pain has a name, a story, or is simply a weight you've been carrying in silence. And if this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has touched you the most so far, or what this valley has awakened within you. Sometimes, writing is the first step to relieving what the heart cannot say aloud, and your experience can reach someone who also needs to feel understood. If this message resonates with you, liking this video is a simple yet powerful way to show that this type of content matters. It helps the channel reach more people who, like you, may be going through difficult times and seeking a little light in the midst of the valley. And if you feel this space can accompany you on this journey, subscribing to the channel is a way to walk together, to continue receiving reflections that care for emotions, body, and spirituality with respect and sensitivity. Your presence here makes a difference, not only for the growth of the channel, but for the creation of a community where no one needs to cross the valley alone. And that's precisely what we're going to continue talking about now, because the valley still has much to reveal. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the valley isn't a distant or overly symbolic concept. It's real, everyday, and much more common than we imagine. The valley is that period when life forcibly slows down, when something goes wrong, when a loss, a disappointment, or an unexpected change disrupts our mindset. It's when unanswered questions arise, difficult decisions are made, nights are long, and there's a strange feeling of walking without seeing the whole path. Emotionally, the valley manifests as persistent sadness, silent anxiety, mental fatigue, and that feeling that the heart is always trying to catch up with something that's been left behind. Spiritually, the valley is often accompanied by doubt, an unsettling silence, and a faith that no longer flows as easily. And this is frightening, because many people believe that feeling this way is a sign of weakness, when in fact it is part of the human experience. Every transformation process goes through a valley. Every true journey has behind-the-scenes moments that almost no one sees, moments when the hidden truth begins to surface and forces us to confront who we are, what we feel, and what really matters. The valley is this place of internal impact, where pain doesn't come to destroy, but to reveal. The valley doesn't always arrive with clear explanations. Sometimes it appears after a loss, sometimes after a right decision that, for some reason, brought difficult consequences. And it is precisely there that many things begin to change internally, even if on the outside everything seems stagnant. The valley is not a detour from the journey. It is part of it. It is in this space of vulnerability that new perceptions emerge, that sensitivity increases, and that something begins to be rebuilt in a deeper and truer way. Comment below. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the valley doesn't just affect the mind or spirit, it permeates the entire body. Emotional pain isn't confined to thoughts. It manifests physically in ways that many people try to ignore. It's the constant weight on the chest, the shortness of breath, the fatigue that doesn't go away even after a night's sleep, the tension in the shoulders, the tightness in the throat, and the tears that appear without warning. The body speaks when the soul is overwhelmed, and the valley is precisely that place where accumulated emotions find a way to express themselves. Sadness is not just an abstract feeling. It impacts energy, focus, appetite, and the ability to make simple decisions. In many cases, the body enters survival mode, trying to cope with an emotional burden that hasn't been named or acknowledged. And then guilt arises for feeling this way, as if it were a sign of weakness or lack of control. But feeling is not failing. Feeling is human. It's the organism reacting to losses, frustrations, changes, and hidden truths that are coming to light during the journey. The valley hurts because it dismantles old internal structures. It shakes your mindset, confronts expectations, exposes limits, and forces pauses that weren't chosen. Behind the scenes of this process, something profound is happening. The body and emotions are trying to reorganize themselves, asking for attention, care, and listening. Frequent crying, for example, is not just an emotional release, but a natural regulatory mechanism, a way to relieve internal pressure and create space for transformation. When we understand this, the impact of the valley changes. It ceases to be just suffering and begins to reveal signs of adjustment, healing, and silent reconstruction. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there are tears that almost no one sees. These aren't the tears that fall in public, nor the ones that cry out for help. They are the ones that arise in the silence of the room during a long bath, on the pillow at night, when the world slows down and the mind can no longer hold everything together. This silent crying carries a hidden truth, that not all pain needs an audience to be real. Often it is born from difficult decisions, broken expectations, a journey that didn't go as planned, and the impact of realizing that strength also tires. These tears are often accompanied by thoughts that we don't share with anyone. Questions about our own worth, about the meaning of what we are experiencing, about how much longer we will have to endure. Behind the scenes of life, far from social media and automatic smiles, they reveal a deep vulnerability, but also an important internal process. Crying silently is not a sign of defeat. It's a delicate adjustment between what one feels and what one cannot yet say. It's the body and soul trying to reorganize the mindset in the face of a changed reality. There is meaning in these tears. They are not wasted. They are not useless. They are not weakness. They are part of the transformation process that happens when pain finds space to exist without judgment. Each tear carries a subtle revelation, a plea for care, a necessary pause in the journey. And when we understand this, something begins to change inside. Silence ceases to be emptiness and becomes a place of listening, where sensitivity is refined and reconstruction begins almost imperceptibly. Comment below. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there's something almost no one teaches us about crying. Tears are also part of the healing process. In a culture that values control, productivity, and constant strength, crying ends up being seen as a waste of time or a sign of weakness. But behind the scenes of the body and mind, the exact opposite happens. When tears fall, something begins to reorganize itself internally. Breathing slows down, tension decreases. The chest finds a small relief. Crying releases pent-up emotions, reduces internal overload, and creates space for the body to move out of defense mode. There is a natural intelligence in this process. Tears carry away the excess, help metabolize the pain, and allow the mind to find a new point of equilibrium. It's not about dramatizing suffering, but about allowing it to follow the flow of the journey. Emotionally, crying helps to name what was confusing. Spiritually, it opens a place of honesty where it's not necessary to feign strength all the time. It is in this space that many transformations begin, silent but profound. Tears that heal don't erase pain immediately, but they change the impact it has on us. They soften internal decisions, reveal hidden truths, and create a necessary pause so that something new can be born. Crying doesn't solve everything, but it prepares the ground. It's like clearing an internal space so that reconstruction can happen with more truth and less rigidity. When we understand this, the valley ceases to be just a place of resistance and becomes an environment of adjustment where sensitivity increases and transformation begins to take shape subtly, almost imperceptibly. Comment below. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because one of the most difficult aspects of the valley is dealing with God's silence. It's when prayer seems to go nowhere, when answers don't come, when the heart asks and the echo is all that is heard. This silence hurts because it shakes the mindset, challenges old beliefs, and confronts the idea that everything needs to be immediate. Behind the scenes of faith, this is one of the most sensitive moments of the journey, precisely because it touches on a hidden truth that few like to face. Not all silence is abandonment. Often silence is a space for inner work. While outwardly it seems that nothing is happening, deep adjustments are being made internally. It is in this interval that internal decisions are matured, that emotional strength begins to form more solidly, and that dependence on quick answers gives way to a more conscious trust. God's silence does not come to weaken, but to strengthen, even if this is not immediately perceptible. This period often reveals much about what sustains faith when there are no visible signs. It exposes expectations, reveals motivations, and invites a deeper transformation, less based on fleeting feelings and more connected to essence. The impact of this silence lies not in what remains to be heard, but in what begins to be built internally. It's as if the valley becomes a space of silent preparation where sensitivity increases, inner listening sharpens, and something begins to align in a more genuine way. Silence doesn't always bring comfort, but it almost always brings maturity. It teaches us to remain still, to breathe amidst uncertainty, and to realize that presence doesn't depend on noise. There are revelations that only arise in this quiet place when the rush diminishes and the journey ceases to be about control and becomes about trust. Comment below. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there's a truth that only reveals itself when we remain in the valley long enough to see beyond the pain. The valley is not punishment, it's not a failure, nor a sign that something went wrong. It's a process that dismantles old certainties, adjusts our mindset, and leads us through a transformation that would hardly happen in moments of comfort. At the bottom of the valley, distractions diminish, external noise loses its power, and what truly matters begins to appear more clearly. It is in this space that many people develop a deeper faith, less dependent on quick answers and more connected to essence, a faith that is not born from euphoria, but from perseverance. Empathy also deepens there, because those who cross the valley begin to recognize the pain of others with greater sensitivity. Something changes in the way they look, listen, and position themselves in the world. Behind the scenes of this journey, the heart becomes more attentive, more human, more available to feel without judgment. The valley strengthens us because it demands internal decisions, deciding to continue even without understanding everything, deciding to trust even when logic doesn't help, deciding not to harden even after painful experiences. This sequence of silent choices builds an emotional strength that doesn't make noise but sustains. There's an important revelation in this process. True spiritual transformation doesn't happen when everything is going well, but when we are invited to grow internally while life on the outside is still adjusting. The impact of the valley isn't just in what it takes away, but in what it develops. It broadens spiritual sensitivity, refines inner listening, and prepares the ground for a new way of walking. It's not always possible to perceive this while going through it, but something is being formed with depth, truth, and intention. And when this understanding begins to take hold, the valley ceases to be merely a place of pain and becomes a space of silent construction, where the journey gains new meaning. Comment below. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there's a point in the journey where sadness begins to shift within us. It's not something sudden or spectacular. It doesn't happen like an instant miracle. It's a slow, almost invisible movement that unfolds as we continue walking, even when tired. The pain doesn't disappear overnight, but it gradually loses control. What once paralyzed us begins little by little to strengthen us. When sadness is faced consciously, it leaves marks that are not wounds, but lessons. It changes mindset, refines choices, teaches boundaries, and brings a clarity that only those who have been through the valley can recognize. There is a spiritual strength that is born precisely from this, from the silent decision not to harden, not to close oneself off, to remain sensitive even after the impact. This strength doesn't shout, it doesn't appear in ready-made phrases, but it sustains from within. Behind the scenes of this process, something very profound happens. Pain ceases to be mere suffering and becomes the raw material for transformation. It deepens faith, not the kind of faith based on quick results, but a mature faith built on the ground of reality. Sadness teaches one to wait, to listen more, to perceive hidden truths about oneself and one's own journey. And this changes the way one walks, decides, and relates to life. This strength born from pain doesn't eliminate sensitivity. On the contrary, it amplifies it. Those who traverse the valley with emotional honesty develop a different kind of courage, genuine empathy, and a firmer presence. The resulting growth isn't immediately visible, but the impact is profound. Something reorganizes internally, preparing the ground for new phases, new understandings, and new revelations that are still forming. And it's precisely from this point that the journey begins to take on a new meaning. Comment below, "I'm on this journey too." Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because this is the truth that underpins everything we've been discussing so far. You didn't fall into the valley by accident. Even if it seems confusing now, even if the pain is still present and the answers haven't arrived, there's a purpose unfolding in this place that seems so difficult to cross today. The valley is not a wrong turn, nor a delay in your journey. It's part of the path. Even when your mind insists that something went wrong, often it's only after some time that we can see the true impact of the valley. It's there that old certainties crumble, that mindset expands, that internal decisions are reviewed with more honesty. Behind the scenes of life, while no one is watching, something is being adjusted. The valley forces us to slow down, to look inward, and to confront hidden truths that at other times would be easily ignored. And however uncomfortable that may be, it is precisely there that transformation begins to take shape. Looking at one's own history with fresh eyes is a delicate but necessary exercise. Not to romanticize pain, nor to justify suffering, but to recognize that even the most difficult chapters carry important revelations. The valley matures, strengthens, and prepares. It builds a more solid foundation for what is yet to come, even if now you can only see the ground ahead. The journey has not lost its meaning, it is being deepened. When this understanding begins to take hold, something changes inside. Hope ceases to be a distant idea and becomes a discreet but firm presence. The valley remains a valley, but it is no longer empty. It becomes a space of preparation, alignment, and silent reconstruction. And it is from this new perspective that other layers of this story begin to reveal themselves. Comment below. This makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject because there is something essential that needs to be said clearly and compassionately. No one crosses the valley alone, even when the feeling is one of complete isolation. There are times when the pain makes so much noise inside that it seems impossible to believe it. But the hidden truth is that there is always a sustaining presence, even on days when faith wavers and hope seems too small. The valley is not an absence of care. Often, it is the place where it manifests itself in more silent ways. During this journey, the mindset gradually changes. That idea of strength based solely on control begins to crumble, and a deeper strength emerges, built on surrender, awareness, and acceptance of the process. It is behind the scenes of life that we learn to breathe, again to trust step by step, and to make decisions more aligned with who we truly are. The impact of this doesn't appear immediately, but it accumulates within us, preparing something greater than we can see now. There is comfort in understanding that the valley doesn't define the end of the story. It's part of the journey, not the final destination. Every tear, every silence, and every difficult night are part of an ongoing transformation, even when everything seems at a standstill. This understanding doesn't eliminate the pain, but it changes how you walk through it. The journey continues, and it carries revelations that only become visible when the heart begins to open to new meanings. When this hope finds space, something reorganizes itself inside. The feeling of abandonment gives way to a broader perception. There is support, there is purpose, and there is meaning being built, even now. It is from this certainty that other truths begin to emerge, leading the story to a new level of understanding and healing. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. If this message has stayed with you this far, perhaps it's because in some way it found a real place within you. And if this content has helped you see the valley more clearly, make more conscious decisions, or strengthen your mindset in this process, it makes sense to continue walking together. Subscribing to the channel is a simple way to keep this space open with conversations that are welcoming, provoke reflection, and bring new perspectives to your journey. If you'd like, leave a comment below writing, "This message was for me." I read carefully, and that helps me understand who's on the other side of the screen, living real stories just like you. And if you felt that connection during the video, a like is just a silent way of saying it still makes sense. Oh, and there's a video over here that perfectly complements this topic, delves even deeper into this reflection, and continues this conversation in a very special way. Click on it and join me.